Hopefully you can hear me here. Let's give you a quick overview of what I'm working on. First things first, shiny stuff. I'm going to send you a link here and kind of show you what this is all about. Because right now this code is way out of hand. I have most of my code in this file is unit test code, and the actual code, the production code, it's less than the unit test code. It's ridiculous. But anyways, let's take a look at the demos and give you an idea of kind of like what I'm working towards here. Because, you know, looking at a screen with a whole bunch of code like that, it's kind of boring. I honestly would never watch it. Okay, so a few years ago we made this game. It's kind of like Bomberman, except instead of the bombs being things that are bombs are vertical, horizontal, or four-way, and they can destroy geometry. So you see here, there's this little bridge, right? And when I hit this button, it causes a chain reaction of all these bombs, and it blows apart the floor, right? And the floor starts falling, and I have to get to the exit. The game is basically get to the exit and avoid all these death traps. That's basically the game. Now this was done in like pixel art, and we want to take this same exact engine, or the same exact engine mechanics, and do something with 2.5D tile graphics. So let's open up this little demo here for you. And so we got this tile map, and if you're familiar with auto tiling, I'm just going to ask you that for a second. I'm going to zoom in to 256 to 256. So I'm going to make each one of these tiles 256 by 256 in size. And you see that we can zoom into this. Right? So now when I set a tile, look how huge the tile is. But even though the tile is really big, we haven't lost any graphical quality. Right? So we can erase the tiles as well. Here's one tile type. Here's another tile type, and then here's the third tile type, and the fourth tile type. Where's the fourth tile type? Oh, maybe, where are you? Oh, maybe I lost count. So anyways, let's zoom out for a second. So, so you could imagine that that right here, I'm like building like a wall, right? Like I could build a wall. Let's try to build a wall. We're gonna build a whole bunch of little walls as this is moving. But right, you can make a little like walls out of tiles, and the walls kind of seamlessly, you know, fit together, right? So hold on, let's try to keep on doing this until it kind of loops back on us, and then I'll kind of explain more of what the goal is here. So this engine you're seeing right here is just a proof of concept. And so the engine that I'm working on right now is going to be able to do stuff like this. But this was written in WebGL and JavaScript. And the current engine I'm working on is going to do exactly the same stuff, plus more, but be done in C code. So let's just try to do... I forgot how large I made this. I think this shouldn't be too large. We should be getting to the end pretty quick. So basically I want to wait for this to wrap back around so I can explain more about what I'm going for with this engine. Well, let's just draw more of these tiles, right? But you get the idea with auto tiling, where as I lay down these tiles, it's always seamless. Okay, so imagine you have like a bomb in the game and you want to blow open a wall, right? So we blow open this wall, boom, right? Or we blow open this wall, boom, right? And no matter what happens when we blow up these walls, the seams between where we've deleted tiles, it looks nice, right? It doesn't look ugly, it looks very aesthetically pleasing. So let's say we have this bomb game, and we have all these bombs, and we're destroying parts of the level. We want it to look nice after parts of it get blown up, right? We want it to aesthetically kind of look nice. Or in another way you could say is we want to just avoid weird artifacts when we're kind of deleting sections of the level because parts of the level have been destroyed. So let's show you something else. So on Newgrounds, let's actually look at the old game. So the old game on Newgrounds, I'll show you the old version, which does not use this new kind of engine behavior, but it has the mechanics that I want to go for, right? So I have this graphical engine, but it's going to be designed for a very specific kind of bomb mechanic. So on Newgrounds, we're going to search for Atomic Alice. Let's see if we can find the game. It looks like my browser, I stopped my browser from updating, so I can still play Flash games for now, I think, on Chrome. But, okay, so let's see if we can... Okay, so there's a seizure warning, so 3rd, 5th, and 8th, just to make sure you read the seizure warning, right? You have to check these boxes, and this is randomly generated numbers, so 3rd, 5th, and 8th. This text here changes, and then you have to do the correct thing in the instructions to open up this up, right? So we have a little loading screen, because this was done back in the day of Flash games, where they took a long time to load, and we didn't want to bore people, right? We want something interesting enough to where when somebody opens this up, they're not going to leave right away, right? I did this thing with tile maps where I created these little creatures that can kind of move on the tile map, and they're kind of made out of the tiles. But this is just the loading screen. This is just an interesting kind of loading screen with a inspiration from like H.R. Geiger artworks. Okay, so we can play the game. The password for this is beta 12 because we never finished this. Okay, so we got our little character here. Let's actually kind of full screen this thing for you. So full screen, and do I want to hit allow? Okay, so there's different bombs. They blow up in different directions, and they cause chain reactions. That's the basic summary. If you ever played Bomberman, it's not quite like Bomberman. So even though these bombs are all touching, they don't all explode at the same time, right? There's a little bit of delay between when the flames from a bomb hits a bomb and when the bomb blows up. Also, these bombs are not like bombs like in the sense of like a Zelda bomb or a Bomberman bomb. They're actually these like proximity mines. Oh, awesome. You're familiar with OpenGL? Awesome. Shift. Awesome. Awesome. Cool. So yeah, I do mostly shader stuff with OpenGL. I tried to learn Vulkan. I read like 500 pages of the documentation, and it was just way too advanced for me. So I figured that eventually... Oh, I coded this lighting system, by the way. I used the Flixel engine, and I built on top of it. The lighting system is tile-based as well. So the way the lighting system works is there's a light tile that goes over every single tile in the game, and when the game loads, we look at where all the lights are and we generate a lighting map. And when we destroy lights in the game, it will look at the bad tiles, like the invalid tiles of the lighting map, and it will recalculate just the bad parts of the lighting map. So it's basically pre-baked lighting, but when we edit the lighting in the level and destroy lights, then we re-render only the bad parts of the pre-baked lighting map. Okay, so because most of the bombs in this game are these proximity mines that kind of just go off, they have a little delay, right? Because there is a delay, we wanted to figure out a way to kind of speed up the mechanics here. So what we're doing here to speed up the mechanics is have these little pistons here, and if you press the pistons, it emits a spark, and that spark, if it hits a bomb, will immediately explode the bomb. So that's a mechanic. So these pistons are a mechanic to speed up the gameplay in certain levels. So right here, this level design is just here to teach you that you need to go up and down through these ladder type tiles, because you can't go right or left. So eventually what we're hoping is eventually the user is going to press either up or down. If you press, thank you. So if you press up when you hit this, the chain reaction blows open the bottom here, right? So now you have to go down to get to the exit. And if you did it the other way around, you would have to go the other way around. But it forces you to go both up and down through the tiles. So yeah, just kind of like these crazy death trap kind of levels where you're just trying not to die, you know? Okay, so let's play a few more levels, and then I'm going to show you more of the tech, right? Because this is not the tech I'm working on. This is the game mechanics that I'm going to rebuild, but it's not the actual rendering tech. So this rendering does use a lot of auto-tiling. Like, every single material is an auto-tile. And you'll notice that, you know, as parts of the game kind of are blown apart, something is always left behind, or, well, not something's left behind, but like right here when we blow this up, right, everything still latches together nicely. Sometimes things are left behind. So, so right here, like when this blows up down here, it leaves a little ladder type tile. And also, Alice can hit things with her head and break them. And sometimes when she breaks things, it leaves behind some shrapnel that she can kind of like climb on, right? So now she broke this with her head, and now she can climb it, right? Also, if she hits a light fixture with her head, the light fixture will break and shatter, and it will explode bombs, right? So if oh yeah, I totally get trying to find time to find making a game. It's like I need to work on selling some stuff on like Etsy and Amazon right now, and I have some patents that I filed, and I have to work on those. And then on top of the game, like, I can only seem to find time for one thing of those things in a day, and so I need to figure out how to balance my time a little bit better as well, because it does take a lot of time. I think part of it is, so when you talk about time, that's kind of why I'm using C. Because C is going to be around for forever. Yeah, so that's kind of part of how I'm dealing with, you know, not having time. Oh, awesome, you like C? Cool. Yeah, so also with C, the thing is I'm already good at making things very complicated, so I don't want a too complicated language on top of what I'm doing, right? There's already a whole bunch of very complicated things in this game, and this is done in ActionScript 3.0, and that's part of what burned me. Like, I optimized the heck out of this, and it still took a lot of very clever kind of coding to get all of these mechanics to work without lagging out the game, right? Because we're, like, trying to play this on, like, an internet browser, right? So I got kind of burned because I was using ActionScript when the type of performance I'm going for really requires something like C for like all of these collisions, right? Because you can have a bomb anywhere on this level, right? So you have to think about all of the collisions, right? So because it's grid-based, we have a really simple solution for calculating all of the collisions with the bombs. It's grid collision, right? So we just create a big grid that covers the entire tile map. There can only be one bomb in one tile. Oh yeah, totally burnt out. Yeah, I totally get that. Yeah, Android Studio, I found it was kind of... I used it maybe like 5 years ago and experimented with it, and I found it was like really laggy, where you would... To get the emulator to work was just like a pain. Yeah, okay, so it's... Okay, yeah, so still kind of... Yeah. Yeah, developing for phones, it's like... It's kind of like, you want to develop for phones because you know, like, phone apps are kind of like the next big thing, but then you realize how much of a pain in the butt it is to do, and then sometimes it's like, man, you know what, I really would like to not be limited by, you know, primitive phone hardware, you know, yeah, that's definitely a way to go, right? Because testing on your own phone, and nothing, yeah, nothing substitutes the real deal. So speaking of that, unit tests. I'm not using test-driven development, but I do write tests. I write a lot of test code. And one of the ways I write my test code is instead of using mock objects, I will use a memcopy to copy all of the system data to a temporary allocation. And then I'll run all my tests and actually poke and prod at the actual internal systems. And then once I've ran all my tests, I'll restore all of the data, right? So I'll do like a mem copy in the other direction. And that means I don't have to, what do you call it? I don't have to write mock objects, and the test code I get is actually more robust because I can inspect the internal state of what I think the system should look like, which is a no-no if you're doing test-driven development because you're supposed to treat things like a black box. Also, there's nothing like the real deal, right? A mock object is never going to be exactly the same thing as the actual system, so by just backing up the system, testing the real system, and then restoring the system data, you can have some very robust unit tests. Pascal. I've heard of Pascal, but I've never used it. Yeah, I've never used Pascal. I've heard about it, but I have never actually used it. Anyways, let's so we kind of see what the game kind of looks like. Let's actually look at more of the tech. So we have this system, obviously. Lazarus for making desktop apps. It's easier. Okay. Let's see, Pascal. Hold on. Pascal language. Imperative, procedural. Based on Worth's book, algorithms plus data structures equals programs. Alright. Alright, now what does it actually look like? That's kind of what I'm most curious about. Data types. Okay, so it's strictly typed? Or... type, byte... Okay, so it has a type system. Okay, so this is actually... I actually really like this right here. Subrange types. Like, Okay, cool. Native binaries and cross-platform. That's also pretty awesome. Because efficiency in terms of code execution is something I really care about. Obviously, there's more than one reason I do C, right? I do C because it's always going to be around. I do C because it's fast. Two things I really care about. Also, the ABI for C, the Application Binary Interface, I believe something about it makes it really easy to work with for creating bindings for other languages, which means that if you go through the hardships of writing your library in C, then people using all other languages can actually use the bindings for your library if you create the bindings. Okay. Alright. So let's look at some of the more of the tech. So right here you see these three images here. They're the same exact tile map with the different rendering setting on them. So what I'm doing is, here this is called Foggy Morning, this one's called Sunset, and this one is called Starry Night. It's the exact same tile map with just different rendering settings. This tile map has multiple layers, right? So you can layer things on top of each other and blend them. So we're just taking auto tiling to another extreme, right? So we're going to take, we can take auto tiling and we can add on more features, right? So how about instead of just auto tiling, we have, nice layering. And instead of just auto tiling, we have kind of like shader tiles rather than bitmap tiles, right? So we're going to take all that kind of tech and we're going to blend it together into a new engine that's capable of making just really stunning graphics with minimal effort. So the idea here is as engines get more and more advanced, it takes more and more effort just to make a single asset, right? So with these, with the new Unreal Engine 4, are we on 4 or 5 now? I've lost track. But with the Unreal Engine and modern day computer graphics, you gotta take something, model it, throw it into ZBrush. More polygons, more problems, right? You gotta actually sculpt those polygons, right? It's not just good art because you have a rendering engine that can plug away and process all of those polygons. You actually need a trained artist to decide what all those data points are. So the more data points you have in your art asset, the more effort it takes to create a finished art asset. So the thought here is, how do we create a 2.5D engine that can really leverage the data in such a way that the artist doesn't have to make too many decisions to create something awesome? So auto-tiling obviously solves a lot of that, right? Because then the artist doesn't have to painstakingly put the correct tile type somewhere, right? They just have one basic material type they can put down for each tile set, and then the individual subtiles of that tile set just latch together accordingly, right? So another way to get kind of very interesting things very quickly is just be able to layer those tiles on top of each other, right? So well, I do have an art degree, but I don't consider myself a very good artist, but I'd say that this stuff here looks pretty cool, and I just made it by taking these very simple auto tiles and just blending them together. And we already got something very interesting with minimal effort. Making this thing here and this thing here and this thing here did not take a lot of effort. It was actually very easy and it was actually very fun. So trying to figure out how you make an engine that gets the most bang for the buck in terms of the data that goes into it. That's kind of the goal here. I mean, there's other goals. Also making things nice and shiny. So this was one of the first prototypes for the engine, and the lighting system was kind of overblown. Then my artist kind of told me to tone it down a bit because flashy lights all over the place kind of makes for bad gameplay. It makes for something kind of shiny that's really nice to look at, but not so much to play. So in the next engine, we actually want a way to kind of turn the lighting on and off, maybe, or have like a bonus kind of fun mode where you can just make the lights do really crazy things, you know, like a fun mode where we can show off the tech we worked on, but then, you know, dial back this kind of crazy stuff when we're actually trying to make a game that people need to be able to play. Screenshot of the loading screen, you've already seen this. This is done in Golang, so this is a tile set editor, and there are 16 tiles to an auto tile set, and the way this engine works here for creating tiles is we have all 16 auto tiles, or we should say subtiles, all 16 subtiles of an auto tile set laid out here, and the editor is going to facilitate us creating these seamless tiles. So right here, this tile here is the middle tile, and it's connected, it has neighbors on every single side, so on the left, the right, up, and down. And when you're thinking about your neighbors, if you have 4 neighbors, that's 4 bits, because you're touching here, that's a 1, 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 right? So 4 ones in a row gets you the binary 1, 1, 1, sorry, 1, 1, 1, 1, too many ones here, right? And 4 ones in a row is the number 15. And that's why auto tile sets have 16 different tiles. Well, the auto tiles that I like to use, there's different auto tiling schemes, but the only one I'm familiar with, and the one that I like to use, because I'm familiar with it, is the 16 tile auto tile set. Okay, so you have the 16 tile auto tile set, and you can get pretty far art-wise with a 16 tile auto tile set. However, there's limitations to where sometimes your level design can look very flat because the level of detail is very uniform for the entire tile map world, right? Because you use the same size tile everywhere in the game. So one way we're going to solve that is by doing layering, right? So if we add layering, we can get rid of some of the monotony that auto tile sets in a old school kind of game kind of create. And then also, we're going to do something fractal. So right now, as you're creating like an auto tile set, it'd be nice that all these squares that you see that are creating basically the pixels of the auto tile set, let's say that these squares, instead of being pixels, oh yeah, so let's say So, some of this stuff isn't for the engine design. Like, this is kind of fun. I did, like, GLSL shaders in Unreal and kind of made this kind of thing. And I have a little explanation of how I did this on that page if you're interested, but it looks kind of cool. I really like how Unreal makes, when the color goes higher than 1 with normalized color in a GLSL shader, when it goes higher than 1, the colors will actually start to emit light, which I think is a really awesome way to do shaders in an engine. I really like how they make things glow. Thank you. What else? So, I mean, that's kind of the gist of kind of what I'm working towards. But yeah, so right now, it's mainly just very boring stuff. Let me show you one more thing. Actually, let me put some... I was working on this before... I'm going to just put some gibberish here. Actually, air. I'm going to put a little macro here. I'm just going to put a little air right there. Make sure I don't miss this. Because I'm going to get sidetracked here. But let's take my main C11 file and kind of show you what that looks like. And show you kind of how the project is put together. So sometimes it's very hard to keep track of all the files in a project. And I'm experimenting with something. And so far it's working out kind of well. It is somewhat of a pain. Oh yeah, so a world map. So what I would do... you're talking about like a endless kind of world map where it's not just a single level, it's a big world map, right? Well, the first thing is I've seen somebody do that with the Zelda. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. I know it's somewhere. Where's the... I've actually seen this demo, but let me see if I can find it. No, that's not what I want. There we go. Okay, cool, cool. So let me... Okay. That will get you started. Okay. Tectonic plates. Okay. So I don't know how you would do it if it was so let me find a okay, here. I'm going to find a weather simulation for you. Um Yeah, I was making some notes, but I'm gonna find that simulation for you because I know I have it somewhere in my notes. But I'm just gonna see if I can find it with a Google search, and if I can't find it in a Google search, I'm gonna look in my notes. Oh yeah, I mean, but you know but at least you know how to use an API. Yeah, let's see if I can find this. Wind simulation GLSL. This looks like the guy. I think I'm on the correct page. Let's wait for this to load. Now, what is going on here? Oh, I see. Okay, I think it's... OpenGL Basics. Yeah, so see, same deal. It's the same deal as a tile map, where you want to encode all of your information into a texture. Right, so I'm guaranteeing they are also using an integer texture. You don't have to, but it's easier with Oh yeah, I would, yeah, I mean, I would assume so. I'm trying to find the actual simulation here. This is definitely what you want to look at. This is definitely what you want to look at, but I just don't know. The simulation should be somewhere. So, I'm just trying to find the demo. I thought it was, Oh, here, that's right here. What am I doing? I'm not paying attention. Ah, there we go. Yeah, nice. So, I'm gonna put that in my notes for later. Yeah, so that would probably help you. It's, yeah, I mean, do little tiny proofs of concepts. I'm sure you know how to do little proofs of concepts and whatnot. But I think that's kind of the information you're going to need to get you on the right track. But yeah, I'd be interested to see what you come up with, because I think this kind of stuff is really cool. Not the kind of stuff I'm working kind of tangentially, right? I'm not working on this kind of stuff, but it's kind of like in the area of the kind of stuff I'm working on. So yeah, check those out. So right now, yeah, what else? Oh, no, I am not. So that comes from yeah. So it might look a little bit primitive with the way I write my code, because I'm writing in C code and I'm also just using Notepad++. But that is intentional. I've used Eclipse, I've used NetBeans, I've used IntelliJ, I've done that before. Yeah, yeah, you gotta be careful. But yeah, right. The idea is, so in business programming, what happens is there's a lot of churn, right? Like a lot of people come in, they leave. People come in, they leave. People come in, they leave. And with a code base, it doesn't matter how good of a coder you are. If it's a new code base, you are not at peak skill because you're not familiar with the code base. So if you're a new programmer and even if you're a very experienced programmer, if you're working in a new code base, you're not at top level skill. In a company where people are coming and going, right? Some people are leaving, some people are being hired on, and you have that constant churn, you never have a fully experienced team, right? I'm working as it's admin now, and in my first week, I messed up Visidial and Dial. Visidial. So I'm not familiar with that word. So administration, like SQL, MS SQL. What the heck do they call it? I used to work in this piece of software, Microsoft MSQL something or other, where you'd open it up and you'd start and stop different jobs on the database. I forgot what it's called. I honestly hate doing SQL kind of stuff. It's something that you kind of have to be in the right mindset to do, right? Because SQL, it's very we're talking about like administration. When I talk about administration, I'm thinking about like oh, it's a soft phone. Okay, yeah. When I think about administration, I'm thinking, oh, here's this server, or here's this database. Make sure it doesn't go down. That's what I usually think about when I'm thinking about administration. Which I don't know. I guess I don't know. Something about administration feels. Some of it felt like a little bit easier, but then at the same time, more stressful sometimes. Especially because you have like people calling you and being like, "Hey, we have a problem," and then you have to like you're on a time limit. Like anytime I put on like a time limit that's like 30 minutes or 15 minutes, you know, you got 30 to 15 minutes to solve this problem. Like that is stressful, and I think that a lot of system administration can really put you on those kind of time limits where it's like, hey, we got a problem and you need to fix it now. Whereas when you're working on a code project, they're like, hey, you know, we got this problem, fix it in a week, you know? Or we have this deadline for this month, right? When I have deadlines that are very drawn out, I feel that's a lot less stressful. Now, it depends on how much you procrastinate. I don't think I procrastinate too much. But I'm guessing if I procrastinated a lot, I would rather have a job where it's just like, here's this thing, get it done now. I could see how there's that nice trade-off there. So it's a soft file. Let me actually look that up for a second. Okay, okay, VCI dial, okay. So speaking of soft phones, what I use is, So speaking of soft phones, yeah, so I use TextFree. I think it's textfree.us line. Oh, okay. Okay. Got ya. So I guess I guess that's the next question then is so I did when I was in high school I did YFU for Youth for Understanding, and went to Japan for a month and a half. I was in Osaka. Um, okay. Yeah, I was in Osaka for like a month and a half, and I hung out with the cross country team. Well, I lived with two different host families. I think they knew each other. I don't know, because you know, rudimentary Japanese speaking skills, you know, not able to really understand much. But I think they knew each other, and one family like lived up in this like abandoned town in the mountains. Like it used to be probably like a factory town or something. And it was really weird because you'd have like this gigantic high school, and there were only like maybe 100 students. Just really weird. But it was cool though. I mean, they had like chickens, and they kind of like sold eggs to people. Oh, really? Oh, that sucks. Yeah, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, yeah, so I was in Japan. I was with two families. One had a little tiny farm up in the mountains in this kind of like abandoned company town, it seems. Like the whatever company was supporting this town had kind of like gone out of business or something, and so it's just this just ghost town where people kind of still lived, which is really weird. There's also bamboo all over the place, which is kind of fun. So there's like bamboo growing on this mountainside. I actually climbed some of it. I didn't climb too high because I was scared I was gonna like break it in half and then fall to my death. And you know, I'm familiar with climbing trees, but you know, bamboo not so much. So didn't go too high. We picked tea leaves, right? They had chickens, and they also had these like tea bushes. I don't know what kind of tea it is, but it came from these bushes, and we would find the baby tea leaves. So you were looking for leaves that weren't too old, so they'd be soft, and they'd be like easy to pull off of this bush. So anything that was like really like a mature leaf will be very rough and actually a lot stronger, and obviously bigger. But yeah, you could get the feel for it and just kind of feel the leaf. And if the leaf felt right, you could just pluck it off. And you wanted all these baby tea leaves, and you'd use the baby tea leaves, obviously, to, you know, brew tea. And they drank tea, like, all the time. In fact, when we were doing, like, cross-country training, or actually maybe it was track, we did, like, a few mile runs, so it might have been cross-country. I don't know, but anyways, yeah, they made me drink tea after we had ran like a few miles, and I think I had a panic attack because like the caffeine drinking a whole bunch of caffeine after like a crazy amount of exercise is not a doesn't seem like a good idea, or at least it was not for me. Because okay, think about it. Okay, you're in Japan, you're like up in the mountains, you run a few miles, you don't have much oxygen because you're up in this higher elevation than you were used to, so you don't have much oxygen. You run a whole bunch of miles, and then on top of not much oxygen, here have all this caffeinated water, but tea, right? And oh boy, just that was bad. It felt kind of like I was gonna have a heart attack. I mean, I've never had a heart attack, but that's kind of what it felt like. I don't know, but that's what I felt like was gonna happen. Mountains and rocks. Okay, yeah. So yeah, I'm not familiar with what wait, I said Albania. What does Albania look like? Yeah, I think it would be fun. There's definitely a lot of really cool stuff. Like um, we went to a mountain where there's like water that was like free flowing, and because the water is always moving, it's actually clean enough to drink from. Like I've never drank water from outside because that seems like it'd be a bad idea, like parasites and whatnot. But the water coming down from this mountain was like so fresh that we could actually just drink it um, without having to filter it or anything, and that was kind of crazy. Now this doesn't look too different. This doesn't look too different from places up north in Michigan. Um, that's cool. Yeah. Um, oh, cool. I don't even know how. Man, I don't even know how I would make a well if like I had to make a well. Like if I was like out in the wilderness and like somebody's like, "Here, make a well, so we need to drink." I'd be like, I think I'd be screwed. But I always thought they were kind of fun to play with because you like because you kind of like get kind of a sense of like when you work for something. When you work for something, it's kind of like you get kind of that satisfaction. So like when you have to pump, you gotta pump on the well thing like a whole bunch of times before it actually like gets up there, and then you get this nice cold fresh water. I currently live in capital Tirana. Ah, yeah. I mean, yeah. Anytime you're in like a big city, right? Like, um, let's see. Do we have? Where is the satellite view? Oh, there we go. Satellite view. It's a big park. Man, my internet really sucks. Well, that's pretty. Let's see if we can. Is that all I get? Is this all I get? I feel like I should. There we go. What is this? It's really weird that there's like so it seems like what, there's a park and then there's kind of these kind of buildings kind of hanging out in the park. But I'm gonna guess that this is not in English, some of these names I'm reading, and that's why I don't understand what I'm looking at here. Yeah, big park, yeah. Um, yeah, those look like mountains, right? I think I'm looking at mountains. Alright. So where are you in relationship to Japan? So... So... Still quite a long ways. Ah. It's interesting. So it's like from Albania, Japan, and the United States are kind of like split out pretty evenly there, right? So from here to here to here, back to here, we're kind of all. That's kind of interesting. Communication across the world. It's pretty crazy stuff. Let's check this out. Or not. Let me try that again. Images. Let's try one of these. Oh, that's cool. Okay. I guess that's kind of what do you call it? A kind of of course. But you know, I didn't know because you know, it's kind of like when what do you call it? Like when people don't know about Mexico and they're like, "Oh, you don't speak Mexican?" And it's like, "No, Mexican people speak Spanish." So I'm like, "I don't know." Okay, so Albanian, huh? And there's a lot of languages out there. Um, I do as well. Though I mean, Japanese with the Japanese, a lot of um, they're very there's not it's not too different from America because of the uh, or their culture didn't seem too different from America. But then again, I think they also like American culture, so there's probably some of uh, we're kind of influencing each other. Um, but I'm also sure that um, you try not to do anything that's too taboo, right? So the only thing I kind of remember not to do is don't don't stick your chopsticks directly into your rice because that's like a funeral thing and that would be kind of sacrilegious. What else did I do that was stupid? I said sumimasen and I thought that meant excuse me, like I need to get through, and turned out that sumimasen kind of means excuse me, I need your attention in some context. So I got really yeah, that was a bad time. Like being yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, or what's the other weird thing you can do in Japan? Um, Giving people money, right? You have to um yeah, culture is kind of weird. It kind of makes you aware of um like swimming. Fish don't know they're swimming in water because it's like all around. Or that's probably a horrible. That's probably totally not true. They probably know they're in water. But let's just go with the analogy of fish don't know they're in water because water's all around. I think that if you don't experience another culture, you don't realize that you're in a culture. Um, Yeah, I don't think. I think there must be some things some oddities that are very, that are kind of, um, Oh yeah, animes. I use, let's see, what do we got? What else is good? Death Note. What are the other staples? Everyone needs to know what Dragon Ball is. I think Dragon Ball Z gets a little out of hand, so Dragon Ball is kind of nice because it's before everything got too ridiculous. But I mean, Dragon Ball is somewhat a comedy. Like it has like a very serious kind of. It's trying to be like all badass, but then you think of it and it's like a lot of the things they do, like all of the characters being named after food items, right? Like Goku being rice and Vegeta being vegetable, and or wait, did I say Goku? Wait, Goku and Gohan. One's breakfast and the other one's rice. Hold on. What else? Or like one of the wishes being supreme underwear. In one of the Dragon Ball episodes. Yeah, same here. I watched it when I was a kid. Yeah, like, man, I remember just being bored out of my mind on a weekend. Nothing to do. Because, like, my mom wanted to go visit her boyfriend. And, he was an okay guy, but, it was just boring, at his place because I didn't know anyone there. Yeah. Think that, life probably would have been better for me if I had learned to program earlier, because then I would have had something that I could always do anywhere. Yeah. Yeah, I used to live in Seattle, Washington, and we had, I have a friend who, from, Mexico, and, she likes to watch a lot of, I said Spanish, but, Spanish because she speaks Spanish, but she's actually from Mexico. But yeah, she watches a lot of Korean dramas for some reason as well. And when I was dating when I had my Korean girlfriend, we once went over to her place to watch Korean dramas. Don't remember too much about them. Because really, I usually don't like. I'm kind of a person who just likes cartoons, honestly. Like, for whatever reason, like a lot of live action stuff kind of bothers me, or not bothers me, but if it's live action, like I like a movie, but then if it's not a movie, I don't really like it being live action. I don't know. Well, then again, I've been watching like Cobra Kai. I watched Cobra Kai. That's pretty good. I don't know. I have weird tastes. Probably not weird tastes. Probably just I don't know. But yeah, I haven't really watched dramas. Not really my thing. But yeah, my ex watched a lot of them. What else? Yeah, so I think I need to. I don't know if I want to take a break or whatnot. Actually, I want to make sure I don't leave my code in a broken state. So I'm going to get back to doing the code stuff, but it was good talking to you. I'm going to get back to coding. But before I do that, I'm going to send you the those links to the stuff we were looking at. So that way you'll be able to... you'll have them. So let me just do that right now. If I can... let's see, how do we do this? www.twitch.com, and then how do I get to search and user? I'll figure it out. Let's see, if I go to... let's see, I'm going to just open this up, paste your name, see if I can send a message. How do I send? I know. I'll figure this out. But yeah, I'm going to send you a message with those links really quick before I get back to it. Let's see. Can we open up a chat? Well, that's not really what I wanted to open up. I wanted to do a whispers search. Okay, there's, okay, with the underscore, your name has an underscore. Okay, so there's somebody else that has the same name without an underscore. I don't know if that's you, if you made an account and you kind of forgot the password or something. But there's another account without the underscore. Okay, so that's the demo. Here's the article. And what else do you need? You need the Zelda thing. Okay, and the Zelda thing. Okay, cool. And because okay, there, got it. Okay, so I sent you all that stuff. Yeah, oh yeah, get to bed. Okay, so anyways, let's keep on working on this code down here. We're writing unit tests. It's kind of boring, honestly. It's just, we got to get these running. Half of the code in here, right, is unit tests. So out of the 5,000 or so lines of code, half of that is tests, which is kind of crazy. And right now we're looking at PG is for put or get. If it's a 0, we're putting all the data, and if it's a G, it's a get, and we're getting all of the data. And something is going wrong with this test. And I was thinking about keeping track of the original value. I think I'm going to skip that. I think this might not be what I want to do. Let me think about it. I do like this idea, but since we're putting all of the data before we get all the data, if we want to keep track of the original data, we're going to have to malloc some memory for this test, if that's really what we want to do. And you know what? I think that might be what I want to do. Except for that, we have to... I don't know, there's a lot of difficulty with doing it this way. Okay, I'm not going to do this. I don't think I'm going to do this right now. I'm going to try to solve the problem a different way. So let's remove that for a second and backtrack on that decision. So where do we put the original value blah 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 thing? Or maybe we didn't even put that variable in yet. So let's just remove this for now. I can just make it a we'll comment this out here. And let's run the code again and see where the test crashes and just kind of figure out where things are going wrong. Okay, so our test is failing over here. Let's take a look at that and see what's going on. So here's our test failure message, and then we're printing off some things. Let's actually get some spaces here. Let's just pad it a little bit so that when we see that this failure message, we have a little bit of room in the console to where we can kind of easily grab onto what's going on here. Okay, so pixel X and pixel Y, they're 0, and the gotten value is 0, but the value we are expecting is 3, it looks like. Okay, so one problem could be that maybe we're not auto-generating the values correctly. So if we look at this, we have this here, and the value generated, we're resetting it to 0, so that does not look like the problem. but we never know. What I would like to do is, we have this put get here. I would like to write the exact same test, but do something where we're going to use most of these variables, but we're also going to, yeah, so let's just make a new section. Put, then get tests. We're going to make a new section of tests. And this section of tests, we're going to put the value and then immediately try to get the value. The problem with this kind of test is that if we are somehow writing the same value to the same memory address, or if two different variables are actually stored in the exact same memory address, putting and then getting is not going to find the problem. So let's just kind of do this, though. So let's see, what are the variable names we want? Do we want to steal some of these down here? What do we want to do here? Let's just say, I don't know, U08, I'm just going to get a little bit verbose here. This is going to be our put, then get put value. This will be... Alright, we'll just create these two things here. And we will still try to loop through px and py like this, and loop through the offset index as well. So we'll steal these loops as well, right here. And that's going to hit every single pixel, but we also have to make sure that if we hit one of these pixels that we're going to skip. And I don't really want to keep track of this stuff anymore. Well, this is what we've been doing, so we probably should kind of keep to that kind of pattern here. So, you know, once we get over here, we're going to reset this to... we should reset this to 0 over here. Or actually, no, we'll set this to equals 0. And... if we want to easily re-enter, easily re-enter the other loops that are also making use of this, we should probably put it here so that we check for 4, for the value 4 after this loop here. I think that would be the easiest way. Something like that. And then when we're outside of this other loop here, so this is the next offset, next. Okay, so this here, and then right here we're going to say that, you know, if 4 is not equal to this, then we have a problem. Okay. Okay, and then if we don't skip this, right, so if we don't skip and we're actually in the body of here, we want to use these put and get functions. So we want to use the put and the get. So let's steal that put call, and let's go up to here. Okay, here's the put I want to use. Now the quadrant and all that stuff, where are we getting that from? We're obviously getting that from somewhere. Okay, so we're using this first. And px and py are the inputs here. The outputs are the ones with the ampersands around them, right? Because they're output parameters here. So we're going to get all these values here, and then we're going to inject them into the this put thing. Now os is from here, so this value is the actual thing we need to set. So we have the put value and the got value. So we're going to take this value here and just shove that in there like that. Maybe change the spacing here. Okay, once we do the put, I want to do the exact same call, except instead of a put call, it's a get call. And instead of put, we're going to say got. And to return this value, we actually return it by sending a reference and overriding whatever it points to. Or, right, we want the address of this variable so that this function here can change that variable's value. Okay, so we have this put and we have this get. And then we just want to say, hey, is the put value equal to the got value, right? So, you know, if ptg put val is not equal to ptg got val, then have a little error message. Okay. And at 9, I'm going to stop the stream, take a break, and come back to it. So PTG, whatever. Now, I'm thinking that there's the possibility that the value that we generated was somehow something about the value we're generating is just not good here. So it looks like we use this val gen value that we zero out each time, and then we kind of do this stuff to it. So let's take val gen for a second, and let's use it up here as well. So now, are we using it before or after we exit early? Okay, val gen is used up there. Okay, that's fine. So over here, we'll call the val gen kind of code. And if we're going to use valgen here and val, then we're going to need to take that from here. So valgen and val, we're going to take them, or valgen is a U32. So I'm going to take valgen and val, no, actually, I'm going to take valgen, and then I'm going to use like a val. And val, what is val, though? Val is a tile, right? So I'm going to say U08 valgen, and then we're going to have a U08. So this is a U32 value, and this is a U8 value. Okay. And now that we have val tile, right here where we say val, we're just going to replace that with that. Same formula. So the max value of the tile is 3. Let's see if we can shove that in there a little bit better. The reason why this max tile value is 3 is because we're only using 2 bits. So we only have 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, and 1, 1 as the possible binary combinations. And that's why the maximum value needs to be less than or equal to 3 for this. Okay, so val tile here, which is going to be made from val gen. Val gen needs to be zeroed out. Is val gen being zeroed out correctly? We see that val gen is over here. Oh, wait, so we kind of put the code in the wrong place. It is before the bailout. Okay, it is before the bailout. So this code is before the bailout of this in that other loop. So let's just keep it kind of the same. Shove that in there like that. And then right here is where we're going to say like val gen equals 0. So over here, val gen equals 0. Okay, so there we go, there we go. Okay, fine. So val gen in this. Okay. So the tile value we're going to set is... Oh, okay, wait, we use put value? Okay, so we have a little bit more variables than we need. I mean, fine. This is test code. I'm not worried about, hey, if this test code kind of looks ugly, I'm not going to complain. So, ptg put val equals, you know, val, the value of the tile, right? So, because we call it val tile. And then the gotten value right here, right? We just want to make sure that we can retrieve the exact same value. So the reason why we're writing this other test here is if this test here, if this big test block can pass, well, let's make a note of that. So, if this section passes, put then get tests, but the next section fails, and the next section is that okay, so we got some commentary here of what we're going to look for. And that's not the video ID. That's the time. The ID is 0079. So yeah, if this section right here, this put then gets test section, if this test passes, but the next section fails, and this is the next section, well, that is definitely indicative of some type of memory stomping situation with where we are storing values with the pixel of the texture. That is horrible. Possible. So it could be with the actual location of the pixel. The memory stomp could be using the same location to store 2 different pixel values, or it could be using the same bits of a pixel to store 2 different pixel values. So if the coordinates are not wrong, so that would be number 1. Okay. So if that happens, we might have to investigate the bit packing. Okay, so let's give this a run and see what happens. Might have some syntax errors and whatnot, but let's just see what we get. OS is not defined, is it? So we gotta fix this up a bit. I need to take a break, and since I was gonna do drugs and whatnot after my break anyways, I might as well stop the stream and kind of start this over again later. So we're on, we are on... And also push-ups. Where are we on push-ups? I didn't do any push-ups today, so this needs to be reset. So let's go over here and just reset these to NA. 2 hours. That's basically 2 hours. And push-ups. We have done 0 today. So we'll do more push-ups and stuff when we get back. Okay, I'm gonna stop the stream. I'll be back later.